They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Emmanuel Michael is in the studio, and of course, we'll converse this together. I'll take a look at big stories tonight. Mike, it's a beautiful evening. Welcome once again to our studios.
Thank you very much, Tempo, and good evening to our viewers. Always a delightful moment doing this with you.
All right, quickly, let's get started. And of course, we'll start with some news now. And to golf we go. We are Tiger Woods. Says that the fire still burns to compete, quote unquote, but he remains sidelined by injury heading into 2025. Woods is a 15-time major winner. He has not played since the Open in July, where he failed to make the cut for the third consecutive major. He was speaking before the Heroes Cup Challenge in the Bahamas at the tournament that he hosts for the benefit of his charitable foundation, and he has used the limited field event in the past to launch a return from injury, but said that this year he wasn't just ready. While the past few years have seen the American blighted by injuries, he remains focused on a competitive return. But the big question is, when will this return emerge? When will Woods come back? Mike, your thought on Tiger Woods and his imminent injury concerns?
I think it will take a long time before he comes back into the form that we know of Tiger Woods out there. No doubt injury have actually blighted his performance, and his bid to come back and mount a very serious challenge with the likes of Xander Schauffele, who is also holding the sway when you talk about golf right now. I think since he got that auto crash in 2021, the man has not been the same again in terms of his form. They have actually struggled. Many times he's trying to bounce back and, pick up the broken pieces, but he couldn't just, as whenever he tried to get back to his best, injury will set in again. It's been a troubling time for a player that is about 49 years. You may want to also say that injury, no doubt, has also been another major bane, another major factor to which, have led to this recurrent injury worries here and there. It's very difficult. But the young man truly want to bounce back into getting his top form. More like saying that the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. That is exactly what is happening to Tiger Woods right now, because the man wants to bounce back. He wants to compete at the highest level. He wants to get back his mojo. He wants to get back to the top echelon where he'll be recognized as one of the best in the game out there. But then, whenever he thinks of doing that, injury wouldn't just allow him to stay fit, and it has been a very big worry for Tiger Woods. On how, when he's going to come back, it still remains a question that we need time. But I think at this point in time, you need to take proper care of himself, go down to more medication issues, and treat yourself and see if you can be able to bounce back. But like I said earlier, a player that is at 49, you discover that when you have an injury, doctors, they will also tell you it is always very slow and very difficult for somebody who has attained the age of 35 and above to recover very well compared to someone within the range of 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, and all of that. So for me, I think the age factor has been another limiting factor. That is why this injury keep coming every now and then, and it is not a good one for his career.
Not a good one for his career, and of course, the 2024 has seen massive, display and increase in terms of golfing activities. I can tell you that there are major winners. A lot of persons will be smiling to the bank and saying, okay, this year has been a wonderful time. Why injury continue to blight the career of Tiger Woods, one man who is known for winning some of these trophies won by some of the new guys now. We hope that he will come back fine and better. But for the majors this year, we had the Masters tournament that was won by Scott Scheffler, the Augusta National. That one had come and gone. The PGA Championship was won by Xander Schauffele. These are the big names now in golf. And of course, we saw the US Open, where Tiger Woods was supposed to be part of, but the injury concern, also hampered him not achieving anything. Bryson DeChambeau was the one who got his hand on that particular one. And then the Open, one of the biggest tournaments in golf, the Royal Throttle, we saw that one won by Xander Schauffele. These are the big guys that have won, the series this year. And so you begin to ask yourself, these are tournaments ordinarily that even the Masters, known for the green jacket, tournament that Tiger Woods is known for always winning, but it seems as the injury concern has really distracted him a lot from even having time to play, even the smaller majors. But we hope that he will be fine and better, and maybe not to compete at the highest level against the likes of Robson, DeChambeau, Schauffele, but we still hope that he can be, he can retire on a high, at least play few games before he finally calls it quit, and that's the level that the other person will be thinking. Have some time to play. It will be very bad not to even see him at all in the course. Let's get to see him in the golf course, at least have some time. Like Rafael Nadal, he struggled with injury, and he knew that he would retire this year, even if he kept it as a secret until later on he had to open up. But I want to see him come in, participate in some other games, and then call it quit. For me, if he calls it quit at 50, it's not a bad thing. I even detest when people want to play over and over. It doesn't make any, and this modern world doesn't make any sense. So play a few games and hang off. Roger Federer, the moment he was injured, he never waited. He never came back to the court. He retired from injury, and that does it.
The man is about different mentality, different strokes from different folks. People view things in different, angle, in different prism. And that is why this man is saying that he wants to bounce back, not just buying out through the back doors, but he wants to bounce back, hang the boot when he's very, very active. And he's hoping to come back very strong. But that is why I said very earlier that it's going to be very difficult for him to come back and make any waves again, because we have top-notch players right now, the likes of John Ram, Scott Scheffler, Zenda Shuffle. You talk about Branson Debois and Cameron Smith, not also forgetting Justin Johnson as well, Brooklyn Cooper. These are names that are making waves right now in the world of golf, and you can't actually, be away for such a long time, being blighted with injury, and you think you can come back, and overthrow these names. So talk about Wyndham Clark as well, leaving Amberg. These are names that have also come to stay within the golf, fraternity, that will be very difficult for Tiger Woods to come back and dethrone most of these players that are doing pretty well right now. But yet, he still insists on finishing very strong before, buying out of the tail. But I will advise, just like you say, age is no longer on his side. At 49, maybe you use one of those charity games, organize it, play one or two charity games out there, invite some of the big names out there, let them come and show their support and solidarity for you. Then you can also bow out through that, opening. But for me, it's going to be very difficult in what he's thinking of making another big wave before retiring.
Let's get to see how far that goes. And of course, it's one thing to hope that he will come back strong. It's another to get to see him on the golf course as time progresses. But let's move away from that now, and let's take you to the English Premier League, where a lot of action will be tonight. And across the 7 centres, it will be an electrifying show. But first off, let's take a look at the game played yesterday. We saw Ipswich Town lost their game to Crystal Palace. 1-0 it ended, away from home for Crystal Palace, and that was a magical showing for them as compared to what we saw the last week. But then the big one also we saw elsewhere. Mike, if we take a look at what is happening between Ipswich Town and where they are on the table, one should think that they shouldn't be losing at home, especially in their own home ground. Try to get a point in that particular encounter. Unfortunately, it went the other side.
Not a good one, not a good moment for Ipswich Town, who just got promoted the last season down to the top-tier league, talking about the English Premier League. And they've actually found life pretty difficult in the English Premier League, trying to cope, trying to get points in the English Premier League. Not an easy one for them, for such a team that have actually struggled. Coming up against Crystal Palace as well, who is not also doing very well. It's just about, Crystal Palace is seated 16th on the log with just 12 points. Meanwhile, Ipswich maintain 19th position with 9 points. So take a look at the point disparity. You may want to say these teams, they are just equal, because it's 3 points or 4 point disparity between Ipswich Town and Crystal Palace. So there was no much difference, and you saw the slim win for Crystal Palace to clearly tell you that these teams are of equal strength out there, despite the fact that Crystal Palace are not new in the English Premier League. It was expected that make it maybe more like a roller coaster ride for them, but then Ipswich Town, having seen the difficult situation they find themselves this season, went all out, tried their best, but their best weren't good enough, and that is why they were defeated. And it's a troubling time for them, because they are within, in short, they are rocking the relegation zone as it is. And the likes of Southampton are seated on the 20th position, Ipswich Town in 19th position. And you talk about Wolverhampton Wanderers also, is also within that relegation zone. So I think they need to do something very drastic in order to change their position. If not, I tell you, by the end of this season, they might possibly go back to where they are coming from.
Might possibly go back, because if you look at the start there, it doesn't tell good at all. Look at goal so far scored for Ipswich. They've scored scored 13 goals, considered 25 in the league. So they have minus 12, which is not is a red alert, for them. But then at the Portman Road, one should have expected that, having this key to hold on. Maybe the fact that they have not also been this experienced in English Premier League would have also posted some challenges, in learning how to pick vital game. But at some point they were winning games. One would have expected that, okay, maybe going to push. No team want to come to the league, to come to the English Premier League where there is enough money. Even staying in the league alone gives you more money. So I'm just wondering how the authorities there, and the owner, how they're going to cope with this level. If at this level, after 14 games played, you are rocking the 19th position in the English Premier League, then a lot of worries. Or you just think that they are just coming to enjoy themselves, get more experience, and see how far they can pull out, from the relegation zone.
I do not think so. Every team that gained promotion to the top flight, talking about the English Premier League, they always try everything possible to sustain their stay in the top flight league, because staying there alone, they accumulate a lot of money. And that is why teams do everything possible not to go to relegation, because even if you finish within 15th position, 16th or 17th position, you still have a chunk of the money from the EPL authority because of the money, the way it is being spread out there, the TV rights, what is due to you, positional, where you finish within the position as well. So I think it's all about that. I do not think maybe because of the experience, it's just that it looks as though they are not hungry enough, because once you gain promotion to the top flight league, you see this hunger, you see this fire in some of those players, because they want to stay there, they want to enjoy the fame and popularity, they want to be playing week in, week out, they want to be more popular, they want to take the club far and wide and make fans become endeared to them as well. But quite unfortunate that during the start of this season, people thought, oh, this is the team that is going to maybe pull some surprises out there, but it has not been the same. As they have just managed to win only one game, just one game since the start of the season, and this is match day 14, getting to 15, just one win, 6 draws and 7 losses. And how do you think such a team can survive in the English Premier League? So, and that is why I said earlier that they need to do something as fast as possible if they truly want to stay afloat. If not, maybe we can start bidding farewell to Ipswich Town in the English Premier League.
Bidding farewell to Ipswich Town, but then as the early days, you want to say, hopefully they can get more wins at the Portman Road and away from home to build up their talent. But let's talk about the game that was played at the King Power Stadium, and that was the first game of the new coach. Talking about Ruud van Nistelrooy, the man who was at interim basis with Manchester United setup. One man who has created this as a player in his days with the United team. But somehow, yesterday we saw the display from Vardy, we saw the display from El Kanoussi, and the 3-1 win for them there. Lopetegui thinking what next now for his future. But while that decision is yet to be made, one man is rejoicing, getting 3 points and 3 goals in his first match in his full match as a manager in the English Premier League.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a dream start for Ruud van Nistelrooy. Though he was on the stand in their previous game, their last week game, which they actually lost 2-1. Coming back to take the center stage this time around, I think it's a dream start for him, because nobody actually expected him to, get all 3 points against a very stubborn West Ham side, though they have not been informed under Coach Lopetegui so far. Since David Moyes left West Ham, I think West Ham, they're no longer Ham teams out there. They are just very, ordinary as it is right now. Though they dominated much of the possession in the last night game, but they couldn't find the penetration so as to get all the 3 points out there. And Leicester City, they had to rely on counter, And of course, when the chances came, they took their chances. Jimmy Vardy, ever present, old warhorse, you may want to say, but still blazing on, still getting the goals. Patson Daka as well, making the difference. And surprisingly as well, Wilfred Ndidi, our own Wilfred Ndidi, was named the man of the match, because he was able to put up a humorous display last night. And I hope to see such a display with the Super Eagles. It would also help us as well. So I think for Ruud van Nistelrooy, a great start for him. Let's see if we can continue to get positive results like this going forward, because currently, courtesy of that 3 points that they got against West Ham, they are seated on the, 15th position right now. Talking about Leicester City with just 13 points so far. They've won just 3 games since the start of this season. They've drawn 4, and they've lost as much as 7 games. So I think they are not even far from the relegation zone, because the people occupying the relegation zone, just 4 points that separate them.
And the news emanating from West Ham this evening shows that the board have met and they are divided in the decision to sack Julian Lopetegui, 60-40, you know, and of course I will wait to see how far that applies. But I just want to quote what he said after the game yesterday when they lost to Leicester City. In his presser, post-match reaction, he said that his team wants to win. They want to win for the club. They want to win for me. Football is about the win. Today is a day where we deserve much more. The next will be the most important. We must be focused. Football is not easy, he said. And I took a look at the squad. They have a very lovely squad, and they have a lot of young players like Kudos. He has won just 4 games out of 14 games since taking over from David Moyes. At this point, if he's sacked, do you think that it's about the fact that he's not good enough, or the fact that the players are not bringing back returns to the club?
I do not think it's about the players. This is the same player that David Moyes was using to do exploits. The likes of Mohamed Kudus, the likes of Lucas Paqueta, the likes of Thomas Tuchel. These are players that were doing wonderfully well under coach Moyes. Unfortunately, Lopetegui came with a different pattern, came with a different style, and of course he saw the team decimated, short of ideas whenever they get to play out there. So I do not think it's about the players, because the players, they have top-notch quality as well. It's just about the tactics of the coach. That is why they are not getting the result. Because if they were getting, good result under David Moyes, why are they not churning out the positive result again as the new coach came in? So I think it's about the coach. Though Lopetegui, he has been able to coach some of the top teams in Europe. He's not a newcomer.
He's coached in Real Madrid.
Yeah, he's not a newcomer.
But it was also the same way he was, he was sacked. But one thing that bothers me is that West Ham, like Arsenal, like some of the traditional teams, aren't known for sacking coach early. They stay with you. They stick with you no matter what the fans. Yesterday, the fans were saying that Lopetegui has made a lot of mistakes in part. He's not good tactically. He has faulted, and a lot of abuses, pointed towards him. In fact, the way he went into the ground, as he was even trying to cope with those abuses, he injured himself in that encounter. But I'm just wondering why this hasty. This is just 14 games, so we still have a lot of games to change the narrative of the club. And it's not as if they are seated in the relegation zone.
The thing is that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. So I think if you take a look at the journey, the way they have started it, it is not a good one at all. And you can actually read the handwriting on the wall, seeing that there is no sign of improvement in terms of their pattern of play. There is a way you play, and your team get to lose a game, but you'll be very confident, heading into next game. Why? Because you know that your team gave out the best. They did everything humanly possible. But in the game of football, sometimes it may come your way, and sometimes it doesn't come your way. Despite all that you throw at your opponent, they stay resilient to absorb the pressure. Even your fans as well, they will be nodding their head in confidence that, my team, we did very well. It's just that it wasn't our day. But there is a way your team will play. You will be utterly disappointed and have no hope or confidence in future that if they replicate the same pattern of play or the same form of play, you know it within down yourself that no, they can't go far in the competition. So it is too early per se. 14 games played so far, and there's a lot of calls, that it should be sacked, a lot of negative talk about Lopetegui, which for me, I think the fans, they may not be wrong. They may not be wrong by saying he should be sacked, because he has not shown that indeed anything is going to change in the near future.
We're going to short break now. When we come back, Manchester United will be at the home of Arsenal at the Emirates to play tonight, and of course that will be another cracker to see how good tactically Ruben Amorim can be against the Gunners. So go anywhere. Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it's still Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network, and we look at the extraordinary gist, from different facets of sports. This evening, we are previewing the English Premier League, not forgetting that yesterday, too, Mike, Eyimba in the Nigeria Premier Football League, were able to grab 1 point against the defending champions. I'm talking about, Enugu Rangers, and that game was a very strong one. We saw the two coaches coming with different tactics. 90 minutes, goalless, it ended.
Yeah, not a good result for the People's Elephant, talking about Enyimba FC, because I had expected them to get all 3 points against the Fidelis Ilechukwu side, though coming up against a defending champion is not always an easy one, because Enyimba on their own, they have not been an impressive side so far since the start of the season.
So if they've not been an impressive side, how then do you expect them to get something against a defending champion that are very, very cozy at home?
Because
that game is an Oriental derby and it could go either way.
Yeah, the reason is because Enugu Rangers, as a defending champion, they are struggling to even catch up with the first and second
position. But not when it gets to the Oriental derby.
No two games are alike, especially when Enyimba went for the CAF Confederations Cup over the midweek. Went out there to Egypt to play against Al Masry, lost 2-1. Coming back home, you should expected them to be very angry because of that poor result, and to vent that anger against their next opponent. That is why it was expected that Enyimba should get all 3 points. And you take a look at the way the Enugu Rangers coach, talking about Fidelis Ilechukwu, was praising their opponent even before that game. It clearly tells you that Enyimba, they were on a vantage position because they have a rich history. And then again, they are still playing their trade in the CAF Confederations Cup, having got there to get a poor result. Coming back home, you should expect that they should boost their morale, pick up themselves from that loss and come hard against their next opponent, which for me, I did not see. So I think in all of this, Enugu Rangers is the best winner for this game, because taking one valuable point away from Enyimba is a plus to them. Cost of that point that they took, they are seated fourth on the log right now, while Enyimba is drifted back to 6th position. So for me, I think for Enyimba this season under Olarewaju, we might see them not even finish within the top 5 at the end of the season.
At this point now, they have been drifted backward because of the draw yesterday. And so we hope that Enyimba will begin to look up. And the other person will tell you that anything that plays in the continent is always like this. When they come back, have a lot of backlogs of games, and sometimes cannot cope with the nature of the league. So I don't just want to believe that will be the case of Enyimba, this season, that they're playing in this country of club football in Africa. I
don't even always buy to that idea or opinion. Because in the English...
Because I want to ask myself, the same club that plays against you in the continent, they go to that league and they're still doing well. So
exactly. So
why that scenario in Nigeria?
I do not always believe in that line of thought. And besides, you have pools of players to select from. You have about 25 or 24 players, or 27 per season that you need to select from. Is it all the 12 players that you play? Don't you rotate your squad? Does it mean that other players, other French players within the squad are not good enough? If then they are not good enough, why bring them into the team? You also have academies out there that you can also go out and fish out talent and help, to recycle them around and use it for some of the game that you feel it is not that important to you. So for me, I do not buy that line of thought because of the fact that they have numerous games, and that is why they are not churning out the result. It's a lie.
Okay, hopefully we get to see how far Mike does not agree. That backlogs of games or playing in the continent, can be the bane of Nigerian teams not also doing well back here. But let's see how far. After all, 2 years ago when Enyimba emerged champions in the Super 6, they had backlog of games, but somehow it came back and it was in their favor. They finally won that league that year. Away from that, let's go back to Europe, and tonight in the English Premier League, more games will come at St. Mary's. It will be Southampton versus Chelsea. A lot of stats already coming out from that particular one. Southampton have won their last 2 Premier League games against Chelsea. And so far in that encounter, in the last 18 games they played, Southampton have lost 11, drawn 5, and then sometimes the last 1 consecutive league games against Chelsea was in 1979 and 1985. So a lot of questions are begging for answers. Chelsea have not also failed to score in the last 18 games against Southampton. So with this start, Mike, gives you direction that there will be rain of goals today in this game.
Well, yes and no, because there are no two games alike. You can't.
Chelsea haven't failed to score in 18 games against Southampton, and they're playing at home. Yes, Southampton have won their last two games, but then in terms of consecutive, it's been since 1979. So one begin to ask, is it possible for them to get a win against Chelsea today?
It is football. Sometimes you don't actually use stats to evaluate a present game, a present future game, because sometimes the stat might be deceptive. The stats in the past, these are not the same crops of players that were part of those squad out there. The team is evolving, players come in and players go out, just like the normal balance here. The barracks go, soldier go, soldier come, but the barrack is still there. So these are different set of players that have played their own game and kept that history or record for themselves. A new set of players comes as well. They try to build on that. But take a look at that statistics. All finger is pointing towards Chelsea to win the game, no doubt. But then in football, anything at all can happen. You might just see Southampton coming out there. Chelsea will dictate possession and hold on to possession, knock the game around, but maybe couldn't be able to find the net. Then Southampton might just get one or two chances, nick it on the board, score the goals, and they go back to defend the game, and it ends that way. So in the game of football, you can't accurately give it to any particular team out there. But in terms of the statistics, in terms of opinion, in terms of octopus, in terms of prediction, in terms of forecasting, yeah, it is accepted that the odd goes in favor of Chelsea. But then they need to be wary.
They need to be wary, and that takes us now to the Etihad. We are since 1989. It's not been easy for Nottingham Forest to travel to Etihad and get a win against Manchester City. Manchester City, they are unbeaten in the last 8 games against Nottingham Forest, and a lot of anticipation as tonight's game gets on the way. In the last couple of matches they played, they are 12-0. So when you look at the 3 last games they played between the both sides, it tells you how dramatic. But that start. Look at Nottingham Forest, beaten by Arsenal, last week, midweek game. Manchester City is also not on the best side. When you juxtapose the affairs and things going on in the both club, one thing that comes to mind is that City must also be at their best. They must get something against Nottingham Forest tonight.
City have been on a downward spiral in their last 7 games out there, losing 6, drawing only 1. They have worst form, and the worst form of Joseph Salah Guardiola as a coach out there. It's been a struggling time for Manchester City, no doubt. But then for Nottingham Forest, I think that a surprise package for this season. You saw them at some point this season maintaining 3rd position. They were within the the top 4 out there. But now I think the situation or the position